Ooh.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live edition of our fall season of Wealth Building Wednesday. We are super excited about our guest today, y'all. Everybody's like, "Oh, you just look so excited." I'm like, I really am, because we have an extraordinary guest. If you all tuned in last week, Wealth Building Wednesday, we talked to a restaurateur who had gone through some challenges and is trying to set up to make sure that he's able to make a rebound. But in the meantime, we want to make sure that we represent the entirety, right? Because it's not all about life lessons learned and then the failures that we experience. We
True.
also have to learn from people who have gotten it right. Wealth Building Wednesday is a broadcast that is brought to you by TRHT Selma. TRHT stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. We are an initiative that is a partnership. We exist as a partnership between the Black Belt Community Foundation and the Selma Center for Nonviolence. We are very, like I said, super delighted to have our outstanding guest today. She is none other than Mrs. Laurine Pettway, who is the owner of one of the most successful restaurants in the Black Belt. That is All in One Family Restaurant. If you have not had their food, I don't know what rock you have been living under. Because Miss Pettway and that team out there at All in One, man, they rule Sundays. I mean, just
Yeah.
hands down, y'all rule Sunday. So welcome, Miss Pettway. How are you doing?
Thank you. I am great. What about yourself?
I am doing great. I told you before we went live, I'm just super excited to be able to have this conversation with you because you built a business that people rely on. Like I said, Sunday, now you all are open more than just on Sundays, but All in One rule Sundays. So, and
Yes.
you've been a staple for families in our community for years, for decades now. And so just wanted to really be able to dive deep into your success. And because you are a restaurateur who has experienced so much success, we know you got the right recipe. Look.
Well, that is so true. You got
Yeah,
to have the right recipe. That is number one. You have to have what the people want.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And clearly you do that. So I would love it if you would share though with folks, because was All in One your first entrepreneurial venture, or have you had a journey in entrepreneurship prior to All in One?
No, I haven't. We opened up all in one in 2000, May 18th, 2000, on Broad
Okay.
Street.
Yep.
And it was our first business adventure. And we, had a business plan, written a business plan years before we got started in business,
Man.
and followed the plan, and it became successful for us. And I tell anyone, before you decide to go into business, or if you want to go into business, you need to make a plan
Mhm.
and work that plan and stick with that plan. Because one thing about a plan, you can change it, you can restart it, but once you get into the business, you have an idea. If this don't work, then I got a plan B or C or D or whatever. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a vision. You have to have a plan.
Absolutely. And so I'm so glad you said that, because so often we run into folks who want to start the business, have an excellent idea, but making sure that there's a plan on paper that can be followed is key. And so we appreciate you for bringing that to the forefront. I do want to quickly, though, ask you about, so when you initially started out and you have this business plan in place, were there folks who whether it's family, friends, or people who just came in to support, were there people who were making suggestions that may have gone, in a different direction as opposed to what your plan was? And if so, how did you deal with that?
First of all, I had a lot of people that told me that I don't think that's gonna work.
Oh,
No, you
wow.
always have, yeah, you always have those people, but you have to know within yourself that you gonna make sure that this works because you the one have the plan, not the people that are talking to you.
Yeah.
And so once you share with a few people when they say that it's not gonna work, you have to have enough um I say enough faith and enough power within yourself to say, yes, this is going to work. And I know it's going to work because I'm going to work the plan. And if I work the plan, I know the plan will work for me. And so that's what we did. Because first of all, people start saying, well, did your mother have business experience? Your father? Did your husband people? No, nobody. Well, why you
Wow.
think this going to work for you? And then they'll say, you in the black belt, you in Selma. I don't think this gonna work. And I said, well, okay, we'll see. So going on 23 years later,
Listen,
we
I was
still
just
here.
about to say it. Listen,
Going on
22 years
23
later,
years
going on
later.
23 years, on May
Yeah,
18th, you will celebrate 23 years
yeah,
of successful business operating in Selma, which is in
in
the
Selma.
black belt of Alabama, against the odds of people saying that's not going to work.
That's true. But I did my research. I studied
Okay.
Selma. I studied the geographic. I studied the incomes of people. And I knew
Mm,
I couldn't have the prices that Montgomery, Birmingham, and other Mobile had. And although I know my food is worth the price, but you have
yes.
to come up with a plan because you want as many people as possible. You want to serve as many people as possible. So you have to consider the income of people in Selma. You
Okay.
know, trying to start off with a lunch at $19 or $18, it's it's not
It's
gonna
hard.
work.
Yeah.
And you have to grow your brand. Once you grow your brand and people realize who you are, what you are putting out, people will support you. You have to be consistent. You have to be
Oh,
consistent.
now that word, that C word right there, I want us to kind of explore that because that's
Mhm.
one of the things that franchises, for instance, when you talk about McDonald's and Burger King and Taco
They're
Bell,
consistent.
exactly, they have the exact same recipe no matter whether you go to McDonald's in Selma, Alabama or Selma,
That's
California,
true.
you know exactly
That's
what the French fries are going to taste.
And that's the key. And I tell people, and like they're like, "Oh, y'all change cook." Whether we change cook or not, we have recipe. Me and my husband got in the kitchen, went through the process of writing recipes down. And so, and I tell people when they come, you cannot do your own thing because people are looking for a taste and they're looking for a consistent taste.
Yeah.
So we got in the kitchen and we came up with recipes. We know when we do macaroni, we know how much ingredients to put in it. And
Hmm.
we'll tell them if you don't follow this recipe, we can look at it and say it's not right because we know you didn't follow the recipe. And people are looking for consistent taste in your food. And if they wanted McDonald's, they'll go to McDonald's, but they want all in one and they want all in one that tastes like all in one when they get here.
Absolutely. So now,
So
what would you say have been some of your greatest triumphs as the owner of All in One?
my greatest trial, and I think people still have a problem with this as today, and that is getting people to with the same type of character and spirit that you have. You have
Mhm.
to when your face is there, you still need a people with the same kind of attitude and demeanor that you have, that me and my husband have, because
Mhm.
that's the face of the business. And so getting people to be consistent is hard because you will hire some people, and then they have in the back of their mind they ready to do their own thing. But I'm like, no, we got a brand. We got a brand. We got a certain demeanor about ourselves, and we have to display that at all times. And that's been hard to try to find people. Well, right now it's just hard to find people to work. Period. So we having a, but it's been good though. I
Yes.
say I got to say that. I mean, we got a waiting list for all in one for people to work here. So I must,
All right.
you know, it's been a blessing.
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned the importance of consistency, not just in food, but also in the personality or character of the people that
Yeah.
work with you. Because that's one of the number one complaints with working with the tourism roundtable. That's one of the number one complaints is
Mhm.
around customer service. And you want to be able to, like, just like that macaroni and cheese, taste the same every single time, right?
Yeah.
One of the reasons, one of the ingredients that makes restaurants like Chick-fil-A so successful is the customer service. There's just a level of
Yeah.
expectation that when you go to Chick-fil-A, whether you're in Alabama or North Carolina, you have an expectation of what people are going to do. So we also have that at All in One, and we get it every single time. So clearly you have, listen, it may be a secret ingredient, but you have what it takes.
Well, our brand, we try, it's kindness. Because I tell my employees that it doesn't cost you nothing to be kind.
Yeah.
And I mean, even when people are not kind to you, it's our responsibility to continue to be kind. And I want that to be our trademark, kindness. To
Yes.
be kind to everybody. I don't care if they come, I tell them in a minute, they come in here using profanity, cussing you out, you still smile and say, "How can I help you?"
Mhm.
And go on. I said, because that's our trademark. And that's what
Absolutely.
build our brand, is being nice to not just certain people, but all people.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. So
And
now,
I
mhm, go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wanted to just ask you about strategies because, and I felt like you were headed that way. So, ideas or strategies that folks who may be considering taking that step out on faith, like you and your husband did almost 23 years ago, are there some ideas or anything, some strategies that you would encourage folks one to stay away from when it comes to starting a new business, and especially in the restaurant industry?
Some things you need to stay away from. A lot of opinions. You
Okay.
need to, especially people that never, ran a business.
Okay.
And you need to be around people that have been in business. It's just bad advice to take advice from people that never ran a business, don't have a clue how it works. um you should stay away from that. And negativity, please.
Mm,
If you want to run a good business, you cannot surround yourself with a lot of negative people. Like, people saying, "Oh, these people in Selma not gonna support you." That's not true.
right.
And I'm a witness. They will support you. But in turn, you got to make sure you putting out a brand that they want to buy, and make sure that you care about the people. It's not all about the money. And you have to have a heart for people. That's how I feel made us so successful. Just having a heart for people. And we go beyond, to help. We're a restaurant, but we do many, many things for the community beyond just, serving food here on Sunday, Monday through Friday and Sunday. We do stuff in the community to help.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, yes, you do. You all, your family, your restaurant, you all are constantly stepping up to the plate, helping people out in our community. And that's such a great thing. And that's really what people a part of, like you said, your brand, right?
Yeah.
Because All in One stands for community, for family, for great customer service, and of course, great food.
Yeah.
And look, and I hope we're making all the listeners hungry. If you don't know now, I'm going to tell you how to get to All in One. All in One Family Restaurant is located on the campus of WCCS. in Selma, Alabama. So if you know where Wallace Community College is, then you know where All in One is. And when you drive on the campus and you roll your window down and
You
smell that chicken, you will just follow the follow the smell of the chicken, honey, to the best restaurant, one of the best restaurants in town. So we are super excited to have Mrs. Laurine Pettway, who is the owner of All in One Family Restaurant, here with us this morning as a guest. We are talking about the recipe to success. All in One has been in business almost 23 years. They stepped out on faith in May of 2000, and in May of 2023, they will be celebrating 23 years of success.
23
So
years.
if you want the keys, look, she has the keys, the keys, the keys. Look. She has
Yeah,
the keys to success. So now,
yeah.
what about things that people who are thinking about getting into the restaurant business or just thinking about starting a business at all, just any kind of business? What are some ideas or strategies you think that folks definitely have to do in order to prepare for that journey?
Number one, you got to be patient. If you're
Ah,
not patient, you will not be a good business owner. You have to be patient. You have to study your geographic area.
okay.
You have to know the incomes of people.
Hmm.
Um, you have to, like I said, you got to make a business plan. You have to write a business plan. And once you get into business, like I said, it's you're gonna have to be dedicated to, you might be there 12, 15, 20 hours. You might
Mm,
just get 2 or 3 hours of sleep because that's your business. You got to make sure everything is running like it should be running. And when everybody else, all your employees walk out the door, sometimes it leave you there alone. I'm talking about from experience for me and my husband because sometimes we have catering jobs, but we still have to be open the next day to run the business. So sometimes it costs for us to do 15, 16, sometimes 20 hours a day of work. And so you have to be patient with that, patient with building your clientele because you have to build a clientele and it
right.
takes time. It's not gonna happen overnight. You can have some ups and down days, but you got to make sure that you stay with it and stick with it. Like I said, be consistent and stick with it.
So when you mentioned the ups and downs, I want to revisit actually two things that you just said. But with the
Hmm.
ups and downs, how can small business owners prepare for those down days? Like especially financially, how do you prepare for um, a not so busy season or not so busy days?
First of all, when it's good, you make sure you put back. You make sure you save and put back for those rainy days. We done heard that all our life coming up
Yeah.
as children as you get grown, you need to always put something back. So and then you have to come up and create how can I generate more finance? How can I generate more funds? You may have to do something like all you can eat. I'm just saying that
Mhm.
because we never had to do that, but I'm just saying you have to create ways to bring in more funds. You might have to say buy one get one hash price. You want to get more clientele into the door. So a lot of times you just have to be creative to come up with ways when things are not to build up your clientele. You may have to advertise more. A lot of times people say they don't know you serve to the public. That we get that all the time. That we didn't know you was open to the public. We still
Oh
get
wow!
and I'm like, okay, we've been here 20 plus years.
Right.
How you don't know, but we get it all the time that, we don't know. And I like to think that tourists, people, they always come. And I just think even the people that's over the tourists here in Selma, I
Mhm.
thank them for trusting us enough with the people from out of town, from all over the United States come here. And they come here consistently. And we got a group coming Friday, and they always come. They call it the scholars. They are coming
Yeah, the
from
Rhodes Scholars.
yeah, the Rhodes Scholars, they always come. and we look forward to serving them. They look forward to coming. And we had about 2 or 3 groups. We had University of Alabama here last week, Champaign. They were from Champaign, and some of them couldn't even speak English, but they can wave and smile.
Yeah.
So we took pictures with them, and really, really, the one that could talk English, they said, "Oh, we really enjoyed." And so we go out our way to try to just make everybody accommodate everybody to come here.
And so that's awesome. And I'm so glad that you mentioned the importance of tourism and making sure that there's a space where, because like the Road Scholars, those are folks that are traveling the country in a bus, right? And most of those buses can fit between 35 and 45 people. So it's
Sure.
important, you have a space that can actually service those folks, that large of a number of people, and then you can do it fast. Because that's the other thing. These folks are with tour operators who are on a schedule, right? So when they hit the city limits, there's a time to everything that's happening for them. And so timing is also important. And you're consistent with that, right? Now you may
Yes,
have to wait in
yes.
line a little bit on Sunday, y'all. I'm telling you, like all in one, go a little early, like if you can, but because honey, if you wait until about 12:30, 1 o'clock, you'll stand
Yes,
in line, but it's worth the wait. It's every
yes.
bit worth the wait.
But a lot of people, they don't understand that they might see 5 people in front of them, but those
Mhm.
5 people might have 4 to 5 plates
Plates.
per person. And we be
Hmm.
trying to understand, you just don't see one person because many people get in line. They say, okay, I need 4, I need 5, I need 7. And then,
Hmm.
that's 7 people in front of you. So we got to
Right.
pick 7 people, 5 people. So, and we don't just encourage. A lot of people say, I apologize because I got so many plates. No, that's why we here.
Yeah.
Don't apologize. We happy. We can fix them and we're gonna get to the next person. So, like I said, you got to be patient. And we have a lot of people that be patient and they understand. And so I just thank them for being understanding. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I have a question about doing things differently. If you could think back over the last 22, almost 23 years that you all have been in business, if you could do anything differently, are there any things that you would change in your process?
Is there anything? Well, I'm quite sure over 20 years we done did a lot of changing and like I said, when we first went into business, you know, um I was the main cook, so we didn't worry about recipes and stuff. But then once it grew and I had to get help to be on the same page, we had to come in and we had to, sit down and say, okay, this is how much we put when we doing so much macaroni, so many collard green.
Mhm.
So I just wish we had a did it early on in the restaurant, cause then then you had your brand written down
Yeah.
that people can read it and follow it, and you ain't have to worry about is the taste gonna be off. Only time you have to worry about is the taste gonna be off is when you hire somebody and they come in and try to redo your recipe and you were like, mm-mm, can't do that. You cannot do that. But I wish I wish that I had a took more business class because I had to
Okay.
we had to just learn from scratch.
Yeah.
And I didn't have no family member. I didn't know really nobody that I can just talk to and they can give me steps. But I enjoyed learning. Once you learn it, can't nobody take it away from you. So
Yeah.
the journey been great. We made our mistakes. We learned from our mistakes, but the
Mhm.
journey have been great. I wouldn't take nothing for the journey that we went on with the business. And I just know it have been successful because hey, we had faith, we believe, and we believe in helping people. Like I said, it's not all about the money. It's
Yeah.
about giving back. And that's the number one reason why we started this business. because you know I love my senior citizen, and I
Yeah.
always wanted to do something for them. And when it started growing, we was doing started in '96, and we started doing things, and it got bigger and bigger. And I'm like, wait a minute, I said I need something to bring in some money so I
Yeah.
can help. So that's how I got into the business, the restaurant business. And me and my husband said we'll go into a business, we'll go into a restaurant and wedding and supply party supply business. And that way the business gave me enough money to host that once a year, my senior citizen banquet appreciation
Yeah.
drink. So giving back have been a big key in the success of our business, giving back to the community.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
want to go back to something that you said, and you said it a couple of times. So I want to talk about the importance of staffing, right? And the potential to bring on people who may have their own ideas, right? They want to improve on your recipes, or a little dash of this, a little splash of that. Like, no, 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 this is how we do it.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say to folks who are considering entrepreneurship as a journey because they don't want to work for somebody else? Because you mentioned a few moments ago, you were talking about the long hours that it may take. And I've heard so many people so many times say, well, I'm just, I don't want to work for anybody else. But at the end of the day, what I've heard you say, Mrs. Petway, consistently is that you do work for somebody else, and it's called the customer.
Yes, you can work for somebody. Yeah, yeah.
So what would you say to folks who think that entrepreneurship is a way out of hard work, or a way out of the 9 to 5 grind?
I say that's not reality.
Okay.
When you go to work for yourself, you're gonna work longer hours. You're gonna have few vacation time,
Mhm.
and it's not a way out. If when you say you're working for yourself, because then you become more dedicated because you
Mhm.
to sacrifice and put money into this business that you to save, borrowed, I got a, SBA loan, and you're gonna have to make good on that money. So it's not a out, but it's a first of all, you got to love what you do, and you got to love people. If you're dealing with consumer, you got to love what you do. You got to love people, and if you don't love people and just in it for the money, you're not gonna last long. I promise you. You're not gonna be in business long. You got to care about the customer, and you got to love what you do.
My goodness. You listen, if you are just now tuning in, honey, you have missed some gems that she has dropped this morning, sharing with us. We've been talking to Mrs. Laurine Pettway. She is the owner of All in One Family Restaurant. All in One is located on the campus of WCCS here in the historic city of Selma, Alabama. If you have not tried the food, I don't know where you have been, because they have been in business over 20 years. They'll celebrate their 23rd anniversary this coming May in 2023. And so we're delighted that Mrs. Petway took time out today to share with us some of the keys to her success. All in One is a staple. It really has become a staple in our community, not just on Sundays, but to grab a tasty lunch. And you all specialize in soul food, so that you're not confused if you're a new listener or viewer and you don't know what All in One serves. All in One specializes in soul food. So if you want fried chicken and macaroni and cheese and collard greens and
All the
cornbread, I can see the line now. Listen, clearly I've been there before.
good. Yes, yes.
Yes, All in One is definitely the place to be. Last, just before we are about to wrap up, wanted to ask you um just one last question, and that is related to finances. One of the biggest topics that folks that I get asked questions about, related to small business, like starting up and managing a small business, is related to finances. How important is it to have an accountant or some sort of way to make sure that your documentation is in order, and what role does having all of that stuff in line play, all of that paperwork, what role does that play for a business when it is not, like, what can happen if it's not in order?
Well, you definitely need a CPA, someone, a bookkeeper to keep up with your paperwork because you have to file sale taxes
Mhm.
every month on the 20th, and you'll get penalized. And I'm gonna be honest, the first learning, we had to learn all
Mhm.
that. And once you learn it, I mean, it's just like a piece of cake because they got equipment now. They got a um POS system. You just
Mhm.
hit a button and it'll print out now your taxes for the month. But you have to do payroll taxes. It's a lot of taxes that you have to do, unemployment taxes. You have to report all this because at the end of the year, people gonna be looking for their income tax, and you got and the Social Security. You have to report all these taxes, and you got to know. You have to have somebody that know how to do this. If you don't know, then you gonna have to hire somebody to do this for you. That's very important. And business, starting a business, this is the greatest time to start a business because it's so much money out there for a startup, especially in the black belt. I mean, you have to make sure you have your business plan because that's important. You know, you just can't show up at the SBA talking I want a loan and you don't have a plan. You must have a business plan. It is not hard to do because they got stuff online now that if you got your idea and put just a little bit down, it got things online that it will help you with your business plan. So it's no reason that if you want to go into business, only person stopping you is yourself. So put
Right.
yourself out the way and come on and follow through with your ideas and your dream. I would root for you and I would be right on the sideline cheering that you be successful in whatever you want to do.
Amen. Man, this has been one packed half hour of great conversation with one of the most successful business owners in the city of Selma, Mrs. Laurine Pettway, owner of All in One. Mrs. Pettway, thank you so
You,
very
thank you.
much.
And thank the community, thank Selma, thank the surrounding community, because we have people from Tuscaloosa all over Montgomery coming here. So thank all the people that patronize All in One. We are so appreciative.
Thank you so much. And this is that's so wonderful. I know that you all can hear it in her. In every response, she talked about the importance of people, being able to love on people, that money is not the bottom line, but a love of what you do, right?
Yes.
And a love of people. So, man, if like I said, if you just tuned in, go back and check it out. If you're listening on the radio with our partner WBFZ 105.3, make sure that you go to Facebook or to YouTube and check out the entire episode. This has been one amazing conversation. Thank you again, Ms. Petway. Want to also encourage everybody, if this is your first time tuning into Wealth Building Wednesday broadcast every single Wednesday live from 10 a.m. until 10:30 right here on Facebook or YouTube. And then you can also hear the audio of every single Wednesday's broadcast on our media partner, WBFZ 105.3. So tune in at 1:30 to hear the audio of this awesome, awesome, awesome interview with Mrs. Laurine Pettway. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for what all you do for this community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, until then, we'll see you next Wednesday.